when I'm done with this machine will function as if it were double its price.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gonna have like cafe level execution of coffee. Welcome to episode 23 of the Sultan of Slow Drip. I'm your host, the Sultan of Slow Drip, joined here by Victor.
What's up, guys? I feel
Chan.
naked without this table, but I'm fully clothed, so it's all good.
Yeah, we are doing something a little different here. As you can see, I did it. I finally went and did it. Got an espresso machine.
Oh.
So this is actually a home espresso machine. It is the Breville dual boiler. And I got this for several reasons. For one, in its class, in terms of home espresso machines, it is probably the best. It can be tricked out in all kinds of ways that I'm going to go into detail on. Victor, do you want to guess how much this costs?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe like around the $800 price range.
And what makes you think $800?
To maybe $1,000. Well, I had no idea that you can customize espresso machines. You don't see these too often in the average consumer's home.
Yeah.
And I think I've just previously looked maybe once or twice.
Okay. Yeah, and you saw like the high-ender ones were like 600, 800, maybe 1,000.
Yeah, and then when you tell me that you can customize it, I'm like, it's got to be like definitely in that range.
Well, the thing is, you can customize it in the sense that you can modify it. So these are like unofficial modifications. This is hacking the machine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna hack the machine.
So they're not official. Okay.
They're not official.
Okay.
That kind of changes things a little bit for you.
A little,
Oh,
but still, I mean, espresso, to a coffee consumer, in my perspective, is like, it's a little more like for the higher end consumer, I think.
So what do you think then?
Well, you're gonna surprise me now. I'm gonna go with 800.
Okay, 1,600. Double.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
1,600.
$1,600. Yep. And there's a few good reasons why it costs that much. For one, it is a dual boiler machine. In fact, this is called the dual boiler.
Sure.
And basically, so it has two boilers in there instead of one. So that means you can run the espresso function while you steam milk, while you use the tea spout.
Okay.
You can run all those things, and it won't drop temperature. It won't drop pressure.
Okay.
Because each, there's a separate boiler for the espresso and a separate boiler for the steam and tea.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
Fascinating.
so that's one big part. Also, all the electronics are high quality, and they're actually here. So everything is basically modulated from the espresso group head. So when it tells you the pressure reading is actually happening here, not in the tank.
More accurate.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So the cheaper machines, they give you a tank reading. This one gives you a reading actually at the group head.
Yeah. And these are things probably the average consumer isn't thinking about.
They're not thinking about it, and also that's why their espresso at home is going to be just wildly inconsistent, and just they're going to be wondering like, what is it I'm doing wrong?
Yeah.
When it's really, you're not doing anything wrong exactly. It's just the equipment's not really telling you the truth.
Okay.
Yeah. And in terms of some of the modifications you can do on this, so the first thing I'm going to do is take this drip tray out here. And cut it and install a scale. So this will have a scale built in once I'm done with this.
Wow.
That's one thing that I'm going to do. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to swap the tea spout with the espresso group head brewer, so that instead of these buttons here that control the espresso, those will no longer control the espresso. They'll control the tea spout. And this knob right here, that controls the tea spout. When I turn that on, that's going to control the espresso. And what that's going to allow me to do is that's going to allow me to manually pull that shot like it's on a lever machine.
So you're going to install a lever?
No.
Oh,
This
okay.
is going to be my lever.
Oh, okay.
Because this is a lever.
Oh, is it?
Think
Okay.
about it, yeah, it's you spin it, and it goes up to a certain pressure, and then you can ratchet it up and ratchet it down.
Oh.
And then you just...
yeah. Like an actual thing you can pull.
There's no lever component that's going to go on
okay,
this,
okay.
but this is going to function the same way because it engages
Cool.
the pump gradually. You turn it on just a little bit, it engages the pump a little bit.
Okay.
You turn it on a lot, it engages the pump a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas this button right here, it's got its own pre-infused setting, and then it starts going like more full speed. There it is right there. But if you want to do that at a different rate, or if you want to idle, because there's different ways to pull the shot. I can go a little bit into like espresso and just like what happens when you brew espresso. There's no way to cover all of it like really quickly, but basically when you turn the brewer on, it first pre-infuses and just adds a little bit of water to help kind of bloom the coffee and get it to swell.
Okay.
And then it goes to full pressure. So the pre-infused pressure will be like maybe 2 to 3 bars, and then it'll go up to 9 bars, which is full pressure. So, and then it'll pull at 9 bars the whole time until you stop it.
Okay.
You know, but here's the problem. As you are pulling that shot, the coffee puck, the puck that's inside the
like
that's eroding.
There's no space for that. Like, imagine how much pressure there is in there.
Well, I mean, that part, because this is
when you said it blooms and things like
yeah,
that.
it blooms and it becomes kind of like this, like it has resistance as well against the water. So like it's not gonna like disintegrate or anything, but because you're stripping coffee off of it, the puck erodes.
Okay.
Right. So a little bit of that solid that's in there comes out of the puck. And what that means is over time, your water flow increases, right? So what you want to be able to do is pull back on the pressure over time such that your flow rate is pretty constant until you shut it off.
Does it measure flow rate?
So that it doesn't measure flow rate. That's why you have, so the scale that I'm going to put in here is a particular scale that will connect to my phone that allows me to see flow rate in real time.
Bluetooth?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, while I'm using this this knob here to pull back on the pressure.
That's wild.
So yeah, it's gonna basically allow me to do a lever pressure profile, just because of this idea that you can swap the chords so that these two do different things now, and then the scale in the phone app is what allows you to do that kind of real time tracking.
There's an app for this, or are you building the app too?
There's an app. There's an app for it. Yeah. There's
But you have to install Bluetooth in this. Or is there Bluetooth in this?
The Bluetooth is just with the scale.
Oh.
It's a Bluetooth scale.
It's like a waterproof scale.
It's a coffee scale. It's made for making pour overs and stuff like that. So
yeah.
And for espresso for that matter.
Oh wow.
And it just reads out, but this allows you to actually kind of modulate it a little bit better, because now I'm like taking that pressure and I'm like pulling back on it, like that, right? And just like really, yep. See how much control you have over that drip rate, where I can like start to play with it.
Yeah, and you want that here.
Yeah, I want to be able to play with this the way I just play with that.
Do you have any engineering background?
No. This is all like, it's very simple stuff.
Is it simple?
It's simple.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
okay.
very easy. There's like a whole DIY community online
Oh,
that shows
oh.
people how to do this stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so this is like a well-known hack.
Oh.
But when I'm done with this machine will function as if it were double its price.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gonna have like cafe level execution of coffee, and yeah. So basically, I treated myself to a little early Christmas and got
For
this
sure.
machine. And
It was your birthday recently.
yeah, it was my birthday. I was like kind of a little birthday Christmas, something for the shop. You know, just let it sit in the corner and let people ask like, "Oh, you serve espresso?" But I wanted to kind of walk through side by side. Like
I've never seen, at least a walkthrough. I've never seen.
Yeah.
I've just like ordered it once from Intelligentsia, and I didn't like it, but I didn't know how to drink it. I just
okay.
slammed it.
Well, this is the beautiful thing about what we're doing here. We're gonna go from me getting this machine to me, you know, just like out of the box. Like the first shot that I pull is gonna be terrible because I don't have a dedicated grinder for this. I'm using my bulk grinder for this, and that's a good grinder.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've been grinding bulk on it, so it's not really gonna be as suitable as having just
Do you want a dedicated espresso grinder?
a dedicated espresso grinder. So my process of getting you to like espresso, because Victor doesn't like espresso.
Well, it's, you know, I think in life you just need more time or experience acquiring things, right? So
Yeah.
I just haven't had proper exposure.
Well, yeah.
Or maybe like how to drink it, right? So like
Exactly.
just takes a friend to guide you along.
So because Victor doesn't like espresso now, we're going to start from the beginning, just machine out of the box, whatever grinder you happen to have. And as I modify it and tweak it, we're going to see if we can pull that God shot for him. And
I think my Italy trip would have been so much more enjoyable if I knew how to, or like if I enjoyed espresso.
Yeah, that's
We
probably
could
true.
not find American coffee.
Well, if you could have found a spot, because the thing is, like when you go to Europe, it's dark coffee everywhere you go, dark, 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 and it's just like, you know.
So even if we did find it,
you'd have to find a place that was like modern. So what
Yeah.
you would have had to do is go onto a website that was like a Sprudge or something like that, and just do like a city guide, like of
Sure.
Milan or whatever, and taking their recommendations, because that's like the more modern coffee website. So
Okay.
that's what you have to do. Like, yeah.
But hoping, next time I go, I'll have a palette for
Yeah.
espresso.
So yeah, I already got everything in here. The
Yeah. What's it look like on this cat? Oh. Yeah. We'll see.
yeah. So everything's like really heavy and like it's got some heft. You want to feel that?
Yeah. Let's
Like,
see. Let's see.
Like it feels like it's good quality.
I've never held one of these.
Yeah.
So obviously all the weight is from the actual device.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just like
That
metal.
is packed in there.
Yeah, and I got some coffee in here already. We're not doing this like the most ideal. Like obviously you want to be grinding the coffee right away and doing the tamping right away and everything right away. We're just doing this for like the video purposes, just to
Yeah.
show you guys. But
And Justin, you have a shot. You have a video of pulling shots.
yeah,
On YouTube. Yeah.
yeah. And then also we don't even have a scale here yet, so we're starting from like the very ground of you get a machine and you're like, okay, what do I do now? And then you start to trick it out and you make it even better. And you start to understand like, oh, that's why you use a scale. That's why you do this. The tamper that it comes with, which is really thoughtful. Like it even just connects right there by magnet. It's decent, but it doesn't fully, it's not fully flush. There's still some like little gap there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take so many components out. Like I'm going to take this component out. I'm going to take this component and swap it out for a different component. I'm probably going to actually swap this whole basket, this whole portafilter out along with the basket, because the basket has holes in it. But typically with stock machines, the holes are punched. I'm going to get a basket that has laser etched holes because they flow better. So I'm going to take everything that is not optimal about this machine and optimize it. And at the end, it's going to be really, really glorious. But for now, this is what we have. And this shot is not going to be the prettiest shot, but actually it's going to taste pretty decent, all things considered, just because we figured out something in the coffee world, which is something called turbo shots, which basically is this idea that you have to pull a shot like over 25 seconds, over 30 seconds for it to be good. You can actually pull a shot in like 7 to 15 seconds and it tastes great.
And that's the turbo shot?
That's the turbo shot. And it looks like really ugly. Like, you know how you're used to seeing like these really like just beautiful, like rolling, thick, creamy, luscious shots. In actuality, like really good modern shots look terrible. They were like sputtery. They were like,
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
They're not very appealing to look at when they come out, but when you taste them, you're like, whoa, this is really good.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and pull this boy. I will just do that first. So yeah, we're gonna be just going off Justin's eyeball here. So you'll see.
And is that puck, is that one shot?
Yeah. There we go. So you see how sputtery it is?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was at 2 bars the entire time.
Yep.
Okay. And you said it should have been later. Other shots are at 9?
They would be at 9 if I had a dedicated grinder, because I could get it like, that's a bulk grinder. So the bulk grinder doesn't
It'd be
grind.
more packed than that?
It would be finer.
Finer.
Yeah, it wouldn't be packed necessarily. I mean, it would be packed because it's finer, so there's like fewer gaps.
Wow.
But yeah, so it would be technically, I guess, more packed than that.
Sure. But yeah, okay.
But yeah, it would just be a
Due
finer.
to finer ground.
Yeah, so there's more resistance.
That's so cool.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, 9 bars is not necessarily where you want to be.
Oh, not the entire time at least? Or?
There's this idea that 9 bars is where espresso should be pulled, and it's just not.
Okay.
Yeah, like, for whatever reason, I don't know if it was La Marzocco or what company who ultimately decided, like, oh, let's just have a machine that just goes to 9 bars, and then just pull the shot at 9 bars, and then that's it. But really, espresso needs to be kind of finessed a little bit more than that. And 9 bars is a lot of pressure.
Okay.
You don't necessarily like for example, some shots you would just sit at 3 bars the whole time.
Okay.
Like a turbo shot, you might just grind coarser and just sit at 3 bars the whole time and just let it coast a little more gently.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's take a look at this. It's got some crema.
Okay. And that's the film on top?
Yep, that's just like the gases that came out, like mostly carbon dioxide, stuff like that.
Okay.
And then some oils as well. So it's like gases and oils kind of suspended together.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll just split this. So I'm gonna. And you can see that looks like pretty luscious too. Like it's got some kind of sheen to it, and
Yeah.
there you go.
Thank you.
Yep. Cheers.
Cheers. Smells really good.
Yeah. Getting some lemon and some gingerbread.
Wow. That tartness really comes through. Like the acidity really comes through.
Some acidity pops off. You get that sweetness.
So light.
Yeah.
Oh, and then on the tail end, it's sweet.
Mm-hmm. I pulled that in like 18 seconds.
It wasn't that long. Was it that long?
It was 18 seconds.
That was 18
yeah.
seconds.
Yep.
Does it clock you on this?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, right here.
Did? Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
18 seconds. Yep. And this is like, what I did is so suboptimal. Like the grinder is not really the type. I mean, it's the type of grinder you want to use. Like an EK43 is a great grinder, but it's not calibrated down fine enough for espresso because I'm using it for bulk. So I haven't dialed it.
Do you have to use a different blade or like?
You don't use a
it's
different
just
blade.
setting.
It's just like the kind of setting. Like I open my burrs up just a little bit more, so I can get more coffee going through it at my setting that I put it at. And I don't want my burrs ever touching each other, because sometimes I do grind on the fine side, but I don't want them touching. So I just open them up just enough so that they don't really get super close to each other. Okay. Because I don't have an espresso, or at least I didn't have an espresso machine, so there was no reason for me to set my burrs like as close together. So I just opened them up just.
What does that mean? Are you gonna buy another grinder now?
Yeah.
Okay.
But not a big grinder like that. I'm gonna buy a smaller grinder just for the espresso machine.
So for the average consumer, if you know one off the top of your head, is there a brand or like a specific grinder that you recommend, like accessories to this?
Baratza. Baratza is like the best tabletop grinders. They're in the $200 to $300 range.
Okay.
There's one called the Sette, SETTE.
Okay.
That is like probably the best grinder for your everyday home espresso machine. Yeah. So that's probably what I'll get. I'll probably get a Sette.
A little of a tangent, but a friend of mine at work showed me or told me about the siphon brewer.
You talking about the
where like the water drops?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you worked with that?
Yeah, I've worked with it.
Is it just like a gimmick or is it?
No, it's super clean and the coffee comes through like super clean. Okay. It's just like not worth the trouble.
There's a lot of trouble to it.
There's a lot of trouble. Like
time too.
It's finicky.
Okay.
Finicky. Yeah, it's finicky. And then also too, it would work better if the coffee had cold water in contact with it first.
We talked about this on the last episode. Okay.
So like, if you put it in the siphon, most people, they do the siphon.
The water doesn't come up until it's hot.
Until it's hot. That because the pressure is what makes it come up.
Gotcha.
But you would actually be better off putting cold water. So you'd have to tweak your ratio a little bit to use less water in the bottom, because you have to measure everything out before you start it, right?
And then pre-soak or?
Yeah, so you would just pre-soak the grounds in the bottom of the siphon with some cold water.
Oh.
Let it sit in a little bit of cold water, and then let the rest of that hot water come up and brew it.
Okay.
And that would be a better siphon.
Yeah.
One more step to siphon than just what you need, right?
Gotcha. And it's already kind of a lot of trouble.
It's already kind of a lot of trouble. So, it's funny because siphon and Kyoto style kind of emerged in America at the same time in terms of their not popularity, but in terms of their recognition.
Sure.
And I was just like, siphon's just like the only thing they have in common is that they're both like a lot of glass. You know. You pounded that shot. You like it?
I like it.
Yeah. Really?
I think I didn't like it because I did slam it last time.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. I think we were in a hurry too.
Okay.
But I can see myself like I just like it's such a small amount and whatever, and like, but that was enjoyable.
It tastes like Turkish a little bit too.
Yeah. It's like very punchy.
Yeah, it is. And then just over time, we're gonna get this even more dialed in.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's gonna be like heavenly once this is all done, because we can really get in there, and I'm like in the driver's seat.
Like, is espresso a good way to tease out the accuracy of the beans and the roast?
Espresso is a way to see through all the faults of the coffee.
Through the faults?
Like when I say see through them, I mean like you see them. They're like right there.
Okay,
so
okay.
you see the coffee through those faults.
That's yeah. It's a very accurate way to taste the coffee.
It's a full representation of what that coffee has.
Yeah, it was probably out of everything we've tasted. It was very profound or robust and like and I think I just don't have a well-developed palate, but if I did, I think it's easy to see what's there.
Yeah, well, the thing about espresso is whatever is in your cup, there's a lot of it, like per ounce, because it's so thick. So if it's a bad coffee, if it's rubbery tasting, if it's a little burnt tasting, if it's like whatever, it's going to be super obvious. It's going to be front and center.
Okay.
So espresso allows you to see, like, is this really a great coffee or not?
Okay.
Because you can't make a bad coffee taste good on espresso.
Okay.
There are ways to kind of get around it and other methods, but
I feel like we answered this already, but I know Jake asked this. It's like, why do companies label it espresso roast? What's an espresso roast?
I think espresso was more so like espresso roast was more so just associated with that boldness that people expected. That's like a very 90s thing. Like the whole espresso roast, that thing really emerged, as far as I can tell, in the 90s. Like early.
So, but you can use any roast. Any is there a best type of roast to use on an espresso machine?
Not really. I mean, it basically comes down to your coffee preference because the thing about it is you have to look at it in terms of what you're trying to taste. Because a dark roast, and this is Justin's definition of what a dark roast is. A dark roast is basically a coffee that has been roasted to the point where roast is the predominant flavor. So what you taste predominantly is roast.
Okay.
A medium roast is a coffee where you can taste roast. However, it's not predominant. There are other flavors that predominate over it, whether it's fruit flavors, nut flavors, whatever, just kind of flavors that are in that bean. That predominates over the roast, but you still taste roast.
Okay.
That's a medium roast.
Okay.
A light roast is you don't taste roast.
Wow. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
So
and any of those would apply?
I'm sorry?
Any of those would apply to
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so you can put any of those beans through an espresso machine and it's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's just like, do you want to taste roast or not?
Gotcha.
That's really what it comes
That's
down
cool.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like having a stout or whatever. It's like, do you want to taste, roasted grains or not? Like deeply roasted grains to the point where they're caramelized or not. That's it. Because like when you get, stouts, you can taste the roast on them, right?
Yeah.
So you get a Helles lager, you're not going to taste roast.
No.
So that's kind of
cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Yep. So question of the day. Do you have a home espresso machine? And if so, what's your setup?
Yeah.
And if you don't, what's your dream setup for home espresso? Something realistic. Don't say like, oh, I want a Slayer or something, $20,000 machine. Right? Unless Jay-Z drops a line, in which case.
So if someone were to get into this realm of coffee, are there suitable machines kind of within this level, or are there or beneath this level?
Yeah. I mean, Breville has the Barista Express, which is I think a $500 machine. Incredible.
It's a good starter one. That's a good starter machine.
For most people, that's a good just machine.
Oh, okay.
That's just a good for your average person at home. The Barista Express is going to be a fantastic machine just to have at home.
Yeah.
Just that's like top of the line for, you get that, you get a set grinder, and then a couple of like scales and little basket replacements and stuff like that. And now you're talking about all in maybe $900, and you'll never have to go to a cafe again unless you want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
nice.
Yep.
Well, guys, Christmas is coming in a few days by the time this episode is released.
Yeah, so
I don't know what you guys are thinking of gifting your friends and family. I've already gifted pouches from Justin.
Yeah. I'm already seeing some orders come in, actually.
Yeah. Is there a deadline if they want to get things shipped before Christmas?
Yeah, so typically you want to get that order in by the 18th.
Okay.
That's like the real nice time. They say on the post office, they say the 21st. The 18th is better.
I think this is coming out on the 21st.
Yeah. All right. So 3 days ago.
You are late.
So go today, because the post office does say that the 21st is like the last day to get stuff on time for Christmas.
Gotcha.
So yeah, but the 18th I find is better, but that's in the past. So.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll see them in the new year.
Yeah, see you in the new year. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Okay. Bye.
Yep, peace.